Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fan Interference with Wichita Wingnuts manager Pete Rose Jr. Fan Interference is a weekly program where you, the fans, get to ask the Wichita manager questions about the Wingnuts, baseball or sports in general, or just seek Pete's advice about what's going on out there in the world. In this week's episode, Pete talks to us about the induction of owner Steve Rude into the Kansas Baseball Hall of Fame. He tells us if he has an issue with players catching the ball with only one hand, and if Pete was rounding third base, would he barrel over Rob? Let's find out in this week's episode of Fan Interference. Well, let's welcome back Manager Pete Rose Jr. Pete, do you have any team updates you'd like to provide right now?
Nothing once again. Like I said, I'm sure, maybe the next month and a half or so, maybe we'll have some stuff to release or whatever, but nothing as far as now. I think more once the organization spring training starts and all that good jazz, I think we'll start to lock down on our guys. But, like I said before, just, hopeful that a lot of guys are coming back and, we can kind of just build around what we had last year and kind of go at it from there.
Before we head into our fan questions, I wanted to give you a few moments to comment on the fact of Wingnuts owner Steve Rude and former manager Kevin Hooper being inducted into the Kansas Baseball Hall of Fame. That's pretty exciting.
Oh, definitely. I mean, definitely exciting. You couldn't be happier for both those two guys. I've met Hoop in person last year. I've talked to him on the phone a couple times, but definitely well deserved. And then obviously Mr. Rude, who I see quite often, is just an unbelievable man. Not only at to work for, but away from the ballpark. So definitely two well deserving guys, and you couldn't be happier for both of them. Obviously I know Mr. Rude a little bit more, and I know Hoop, but definitely. I'm sure they're tickled to death to get in that Hall of Fame. I mean, it's a big deal. The Hall of Fame's the Hall of Fame. It doesn't matter what it is. So obviously they're doing something right. And my experience, just from knowing the history of the Wingnuts, is Hoop's done something right. And obviously Mr. Rude, was not only with us as the Wingnuts, but his businesses and everything. So couldn't have me two greater guys. It's well deserved.
Couldn't agree with you more. Well, let's head to our fan questions this week. We first of all begin with Ben from Wichita. He says, with affiliate clubs really buying up the contracts of American Association players this offseason, do you feel a greater sense of urgency to start signing players?
No, not really. Like I said, but, many times before, I hope every one of our guys from last year, I hope their contract gets bought. But I think the luxury that we have is, one, you can wait till after spring training to see what's, who's been taken, who's been released. It's kind of a luxury to where we don't start until May. I mean, that's the other thing that we have going for us. But like I said, for what we had last year, I hope everybody gets signed, and it's definitely well deserved, especially your everyday guys and your back end bullpen guys and starters. I think they can all play an affiliated baseball, but we're not going to worry about it too much. I don't think there's that big of a hurry to do it. I think we're going to sit back and wait and see which one of our guys goes, and I think that'll kind of tell us when we need to kind of start moving. If let's say if Middlestack gets signed or Chavez gets signed or Frankie Reed or something, whatever it is. I think if you figure that, then you start trying to zone in on players, to fill their spots, so to speak. But if it unfortunately if it doesn't happen, I've said before, I'm willing to give me them all back, and let's go at it again. Let's see if we can win one more game.
I think people kind of forget too is that a lot of the guys you signed to last year's team didn't come in until 2-3 weeks before the spring training even began.
Yeah, and I think that's I just think that once the organization starts releasing guys out of area, and I think that they kind of know who they're going to carry anyway. I think they bring in guys for, just in case. I've talked to my guys about it to where I would be more happy with guys being signed during our season and go to an affiliate as opposed to going to spring training. Because if you get signed out of the season, let's say you get signed the end of May, you're going somewhere, you're going to be on a team. If you get signed in March or in February and you're going to minor league camp, you can go there and have 3 at-bats and hit 3 home runs and get released the next day or not even play or something can happen that way, and that kind of messes with guys' upstairs in the brain a little bit. So it's kind of two different things, but I think if you wait till spring training gets moving, as far as with the affiliate, I think that's when you kind of know more on what you're kind of looking for. You figure out what kind of guys are going to get released, and it kind of helps that I managed for 4 years in the White Sox system because I know a lot of guys that have played for me and against me, so you can just kind of sit back and wait. But like I said, we really don't have to sign anybody if everybody's coming back. I'm good with that.
Looking the other direction, Hugh from Arkansas City says, as you approach the start of spring training, are you expecting to see more players from the Wingnuts signed to contracts by affiliate clubs?
I hope everybody. That may sound like and that is the dead God's honest truth to where that's what we're there. That's what independence is there for. That's obviously we play for Mr. Rude and our owners and the city and the fans of Wichita, but we play to get these guys into affiliated ball, to get these guys to their dreams, which is playing the major league someday. And I hope all of them do. I have a lot on my team that I know can, and all they need is an opportunity. But there's a lot of baseball players in the country, and you throw in Dominican players and Venezuelan players and Cuban players and Mexican players and people that come in from the outside. It's just it's tough to get a job, but I think we have a few players on our team that definitely should be signed, and they should be playing on TV. And that's obviously I'm biased just because I get to see them on an everyday basis, but I know we have a couple that can play right now on TV, and they should, and it's just a matter of a time, or a matter of somebody giving them a chance, and you just hope it happens for all of them, just because first and foremost they're really good baseball players, but besides that they're even better kids. So you wish them nothing but the best. But yeah, I hope a lot of our guys get signed.
Larry from Wichita would like to know if any of the Wingnuts players played winter ball that you're aware of.
I know Bo Shears went to pitch in Nicaragua. He pitched for Bower, and I think he went down there and did pretty good. Ryan Kushmal, who was with us earlier, then got picked up by the Diamondbacks. He was in Venezuela, then went to pitch in Dominican. I think those were the only two. And if you think about it, Robert, we kind of had a young team. I mean, we didn't really have that many veteran guys. I mean, we had Cleve, and Cleve had a bunch of opportunities to go, but being a new dad for the second time, I'm sure he wanted to stay home and be dad and do all that kind of stuff. Link usually goes. He had surgery. Cap usually goes. I think he just decided to stay home. I know Tim Brown's in Australia. I think he goes all the time to Australia. So, but I think that's all that really went south of the border, or to down under to play some winter ball.
Next up, we have Mark from Lyons. He says, how do you feel about players catching the ball without using both hands if they can?
It kind of all depends. I mean, being a first baseman, when I kind of moved over there from third base, my dad always told me to use one hand. Try to use it as much as you can. With little kids, I think it's important to use two hands. It can only help. That's the old school way of it, and I totally understand that. But especially catching some outfield spots, you want to catch the ball with one hand all the time. I think for the pro guys, as long as you catch it, I don't really care if you catch it with one hand or two hand. But I try to tell my son when he's out catching the ball, just make sure you catch it with two hands at least. That's how my dad had taught me. So, but when we're talking about the professional level, it's like a rundown. I don't care how many throws it takes, just get the out. You got to catch it one hand, two hands. You got to catch it in your teeth. You got to catch it in your hat, your back pocket. It doesn't matter. Just make sure you catch it.
I hope they don't have to use their teeth.
Hey, if they can catch it that way, they better go ahead and do it. I'm all for it.
Ray would like to know, with spring training about to start, does that make you wish the American Association season was longer?
No, not at all, because that means that I have to get away from my two knuckleheads that much sooner. So, I think the Atlantic League they start the earliest, which is the end of April. I think our season is just long enough. I think it's perfect because, if it starts earlier, man, you got to go up to Winnipeg and let's say in April or even early May or Fargo or some places like that. I mean, it's still cold. So, I think as far as that part of it, the schedulers actually got something right as far as start in the middle of May and go until the middle of September or whatever it is, or the beginning of September. I think that's where it needs to be. I think any earlier, you're kind of flirting with disaster with, where you are in St. Paul and Winnipeg, Fargo, all the northern teams. I think it's, probably still a little cold to get up and get after it.
Yeah, I think they even start Winnipeg on the road every season just because it's still kind of cold up there in May.
Yeah, you know what? You're right, and I didn't know that, but after being there this year, they come and they come and play us, and I guess they go to Laredo and they make the Texas run early, and then they go home just to let the weather kind of get. I mean, when I played in Winnipeg, we didn't. There was no teams in Texas, but I just remember getting there and like, wow, this can't be baseball season because it's. It's 15 degrees out here. I don't know what's going on, but it ended up being a really nice summer, and it's a great place to play. So, but I think it'd be a little cold in April.
Kind of on a sad note, Tina asked, she says, Pete, what do you think about the loss of Yordana Ventura? That is so devastating on so many levels.
You can't put it into words. It's, what a talent. But man, 25 years old. He's got a lot of life to live. It's just sad. It's just it kind of makes you step back and makes you give your kids one more kiss and just to tell them you love them, just because you never know when it's your time. And it's just and my condolences out to both families. Andy Marte was another one that died, I think, on the same day. He was a former big leaguer, but just devastating. It's I can't imagine what the families are feeling, what his teammates are feeling. But you're just saddened by it. It's just life's too short, man. It's you just don't know what's going to happen. You just got to live it to the fullest, and just whenever it's your time, it's your time. But it's definitely sad, and you just feel for the families.
Amen to that. Ian from Wichita would ask, what are your thoughts on the three guys that got into the Hall of Fame?
Definitely Hall of Famers. Tim Raines played with my dad. He's probably one of the best leadoff hitters to play. Jeff Bagwell is a big power hitter. First baseman, was a great player. And I'm trying to think. The other one was who am I missing? Raines, Bagwell,
Rodriguez. Ivan Rodriguez.
And one of the best ever. Back when I played, if you were a catcher, you patted your game after Pudge, and what an unbelievable player. It's if you're talking about catching, I think he's right up there as far as one of the best ever caught. As far as defensively and the way he caught, and the way his hands were, and he hit as well. So three guys that are definitely qualified to be Hall of Famers, and you're just happy for him. It's just, it's an honor to go into any Hall of Fame, like I was saying before, but definitely think that those three guys are definitely worthy of going to the Hall of Fame. They all have all their numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah, Tim Raines makes me wonder from your situation. You've been around baseball for practically your entire life. So why is it that Tim Raines would steal like 80, 90, 100 bases every season, it seemed like? Why did that kind of go away, those numbers?
I don't know. You just, it's funny that you say that because I think people are more into power, more into home runs, more into doubles as opposed to stealing bases. But if you look at teams that have won in the past, as far as look at the World Series champions. You're talking about the Royals. Look at their team, and they were a speed team. Our team last year in Wichita, we got on the bases and we ran. And I just think it's that, and bunting's kind of a lost art of the game. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it. But I'm with you. Tim Raines. You think about leadoff hitters. He's a switch hitter. And he could get on base, and when he got on base, there's probably a good chance he was going to be on third. So I'm with you. I really didn't understand why it took so long, but you're just glad it didn't run out of chances, and he finally made it.
Carl from Augusta asked of you, he says, since it is called the Baseball Hall of Fame, do you see a time when independent baseball players and managers will be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Only if they played in the big leagues, I would say. I just think that obviously independent ball is independent ball, and you have affiliated ball is affiliated ball, and I think some guys that have never really experienced independent ball will kind of look at you like it's semi-pro, so to speak, but it's actually not. It's we wear jerseys and numbers, and hats, and all that stuff, the same thing. And I think that's sometimes the problem why independent ball guys don't get signed, just because I think they're, I don't want to say afraid, but if, you get a guy, let's say he comes in and plays, and man, what happened? Where did we miss on this guy? But yet he's played independent ball. I think you can take a lot of guys in our league and put them in double or AAA right now, and they would do just fine. But I don't think that's going to happen for a while, if it ever does. And who knows? Maybe the American Association will come up with their own independent league Hall of Fame or whatever. But I'm fine with how it is right now. I think that's probably how it's going to be, probably at least until my time's up.
Jerome from Goodson would like to know from you, how does your dad view the fact that he may never get into the Hall of Fame? I just wonder, because of how competitive that he was, if he can handle that snub like that. It's really not a big deal. I mean, I think if you talk to anybody that's ever played the game, and you ask, Pete Rose is a Hall of Famer, you're asking me the wrong question, because I'm biased because I am a Rose, but it's really not on his mind. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, I mean, it hasn't yet, so it's not like he lives his life around it. It's just one of those things you can't control. I mean, I think everybody that's played the game and knows what his accomplishments are, you can't overlook that. I mean, his hit record will never be broken. He's played on the most winning 1,000 other records. He's one of the best to ever play the game. And you know what? If they want to keep him out, then hey, you know what? It's the Hall of Fame's loss, and I think baseball's lost. But he made a mistake, and everybody's entitled to make one, and he's paid for it. And you know what? I think he's done well considering the circumstance. He doesn't he doesn't make it a priority. He doesn't live his life around it, and I think he's I applaud him for it. I mean, the way he's handled it has been amazing, and he just lives life, and he does what he does. And you know what? Hey, if it comes, great. If not, okay, we'll just keep living life. So, but I think anybody you asked, Pete Rose Sr. is definitely a Hall of Famer. At least he is in my book. So, but like I said, I'm biased. Next up is John from Cincinnati, who I think has Pete's favorite statement of the week. He says, "Pete, all I have to say is na 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 na. Hey hey Steelers, goodbye."
Unbelievable, wasn't it? I mean, Tom Brady. Thank you very much. I mean, they I tell you what, they ran into a team that's just, man. I mean, you speak about quarterbacks. I mean, the TB12's got to be one of the greatest to ever play the game. I mean, he's going back to his, I think they said something absurd where him and Belichick's been to the Super Bowl 8 times.
Yeah,
since they've been together. I mean, it's just amazing. And I'll tell you what the two games that you thought were going to be really good games, blowouts. I mean, the Falcons, really took it to the Packers, and then, obviously the Patriots taking it to the Steelers. But Bell getting hurt, that didn't help. But Bill Belichick, man, he's a defensive guy, and he'll shut you down. And it's just another thing that you start to throw in a conversation that he may be the greatest coach to ever coach a game. And I'll tell you what, he's he may as well be. But absolutely, congratulations to the Patriots, and thanks for knocking those Steelers out.
Jack from Garden City asks of you, he says, "I know you're not much of a Patriots fan, but wouldn't it be cool if Roger Goodell had to hand the Super Bowl trophy to Tom Brady?"
Definitely. Oh, I think all Patriots Nation wants to see that. I think a lot of other people would like to see that too. But knowing how he is, I think he just wants to. I don't really care who he thinks or who gives him the trophy. I just think he wants it. And if you listen to him talk, it's all about his teammates, and it's all about the process. So I would like to see it. I would maybe a little uncomfortable, but hey, whatever happens in 2 weeks will happen. But I'll tell you what, I think they got a good chance. They got a great club, and Atlanta's no slouch either. But how can you go against Tom Brady?
Our last question of the week, the main question of the week, comes from Luke, who says, "Pete, you're rounding third heading for home, and Rob is blocking the plate trying to stop you from scoring. How many hours would he be unconscious after you barreled over him?"
Well, it all depends on if he's going to stay. I mean, if he's blocking it and he sees me, I'm assuming they're talking about you. So, yeah. Are you going to stay in the path, or are you going to just kind of get out of the path?
I'm going to stay there, I guess.
If you're going to stay there, it's. I don't know how long it's going to take, but you're going to feel it. I'm going to let you know. That it's probably not a good idea to stay in the path, and I need to score, and you got the ball and you're blocking away. So you're going to feel it, and it's not going to be fun. But who knows? You may give me a little something as well, and I'm going to brace for it. But I'm gonna will myself to get by you and get to the plate. So we'll leave it at that.
Okay, you won't leave me going to the hospital, though.
No. Well, I mean, it all depends. I mean, I'm not. Am I going to let up? No. I mean, we'll just say it's Game 7, and I score, we win. I don't, we lose. Yeah. Well, I'm just going to do everything I can. Here I come.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us this week, Pete.
You got it, man. Look forward to talking to you next week.
All right. We want to thank Manager Pete Rose Jr. for joining us on Fan Interference this week. If you have your own questions you'd like to ask the Wichita Wingnuts manager, please send them to us at askpete@minorleaguesportsupport.com. That's askpete@minorleaguesportsupport.com. Please have your questions to us by Sunday evening so we can give Pete a little time to review them before we record the show. I'm Rob Pannier, the managing editor of the Minor League Sports Report, and we'll see you next time on Fan Interference.